Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Conscious Eating Evolution series. I'm Karina, Conscious Eating Catalyst and Soul Relationship Guide, and have created this series to give you a more holistic overview around the power of food, so you are enabled and feel more empowered to make more mindful and healthier choices for yourself and this planet. And today we are going to dive deep into the waters, or should I say, the realm of the colon with Joyce Rockwood. Hello and a warm welcome, Joyce.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me on to speak with your audience. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. So I would like to read your bio real quick so we know a little bit more about you. Joyce is a gravity-based certified colon hydrotherapist, gut health coach, and doTERRA essential oils educator and distributor. Having owned and operated 2 successful business wellness studios in New York City, served as the director of colon hydrotherapy at the Springs, LA, and administered over 20,000, I repeat, 20,000 colonics, Joyce has guided thousands of people to lead more productive, joyous, and healthy lives. Joyce works with athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and global game changers to embody up-leveled iterations of longevity and optimal well-being. Wow, 20,000 colonics. That is a lot of shit, may I say this? And a lot of time, yes. And I have calculated, it's like, I calculated as how much time that would be if it's like an hour that you spend with those people on it. It's like 833 days. And it's like over 2 years of your precious time that you have been spending with people.
20 years. 20 years.
Yeah, but like in 24 hours.
Oh.
If you would like fill it up to 24 hour like
Got it.
service, that would be like over 2 years, like 2 years and 3 months or so. So now we thought that was like incredible. So I really want to know, how the heck get you into this, and like how did you become a colon hydrotherapist? Let us know about your story, but maybe before we go into that, tell us what it actually is, because there might be a lot of people in the audience that have no idea what colonics are, and so maybe we start on that one.
I think that's brilliant.
Okay.
When I was in college, I started seeing things in the back of health magazines. And then by the time I was in my early 20s, I started learning more about this incredible modality, because my boss, when I was working in advertising, went and got a colonic and came back raving and told me I needed to get one. And I was like, how in the world, how am I going to explain this to my parents? Young Jewish girl still living at home, like, we talk about everything. Where are you going? What are you doing? What time? So a colonic, a gravity-based colon hydrotherapy session or treatment, is a bath for your colon. It's very simple, and just I'll leave it at that for its basic definition. It's a bath for your colon. We're washing out the impurities that have become impacted, literally like cement or like shoe leather on the bottom of a shoe, in the tissue of this very spongy, dense organ known as the colon or the large intestine. Most people think that this part of the body is like a hollow tube, like an ear canal or an esophagus. Mm-hmm. That's not the truth. The colon is a very dense and spongy organ. When I was a kid in my 70s, I'll be 49 in June.
Wow.
So, what? Where's the time go? As a kid in my 70s, I remember the Steve McQueen movie, The Blob. People watching this, if they're not in my demographic age-wise, they're gonna be like, what is she talking about? But you can Google it, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. It was this big, giant red blob that was taking over this city. Well, the colon is like this giant blob. And yes, it has a pulse. And yes, if you kind of throw air into it like they do in a colonoscopy, then it will puff open and it will look like a canal. But the truth is, it's more of a dense organ that's closed and spongy like this, and it kind of pulses. Mm-hmm. Right? So colonic is assisting the body in alleviating impurities that have become burdensome to the body over time, because we've consumed foods that we as human beings were not originally intended to eat. And the longer those accumulations and poisons sit in the body, the more noxious they become. And in the beginning, it's not so bad, which is why when we're young kids, we just get a fever, which is typically not going to kill you unless it's like 104, 106, 107. But when we get older, the poisons have accumulated for so long, they've built up a fierce speed and they've become cancer, right? So we want to get this stuff out of the body as soon as possible, which allows us to elevate our consciousness, talking about conscious eating, talking about improving our health and really empowering our spirit. We become this open vessel with the lack of impurities burdening and obstructing our cellular function. So a colonic, to go back to your original question, is really a bath. And the way it's performed, do you want me to explain how it's
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I work with what's called the gravity-based method. And this means that the tank of water that we're using to fill and flush the impurities out of the body, the tank is 5 gallons. It's affixed to the wall about 3 feet above the body. And we're only working with the force of nature, gravity. We're not working with any motors or pumps that are forcing the water into the body and then sucking it out. Don't do that. Please don't do that. There are machine-based treatments. I don't advocate them. The gravity-based method is the original method of the work. It's kind of like stimulating an enema, like grandma may have done for you as a kid, or your mom or dad may have done for you as a kid. And so the water's flowing organically into the body. You are positioned in a quiet private treatment room, typically like on a massage table or a custom built table, and you're undressed from the waist down. You start the treatment lying on your left side with your knees bent into the body in like a fetal style posture. And then I work with stainless steel sterilized instruments. It's called a speculum. That's the instrument that gets inserted about 1.5 to 2 inches into the rectum. And then the water flow is going into the body from the tube that leaves the tank. There's a separate tube attached to the other part of the speculum that carries the waste and water and the gas out of the body. So if you need to visualize this, I have a YouTube video of it.
It's in and then out at the same time.
Simultaneous flow. And if you can imagine the instrument as like a pen, imagine this instrument is as wide as a magic marker, but there's an L-shaped appendage coming off of it. That's where the small tube that feeds the fresh water in to the body is attached. And then the wider part, this part, which is much wider typically, but this is just a pen, flows out of the body at the same time. So in and out. And that waste tube is attached to a waistline and going to the sewage. And so then after like 5 or 10 minutes of your body positioned on the left, you turn onto your back. And most of the treatment is typically performed while you're on your back so that the therapist can do a lot of abdominal massage while they're simultaneously and gently and very rhythmically pulsing the tube that's carrying the water and waste out of your body. So it's very much like someone playing the violin or viola, right? They have 2 hands. One is strumming and one is moving the fingers on the frets. And so when we're doing the colonic, we're very connected to the human body. We're very connected to the individual we're working with. There's a rhythm, there's a flow, there's an energy going from the massage hand to me to the pulsing hand. So it's a very spiritual experience, believe it or not. Most people think it's like, what's gonna happen? It's very calming and relaxing as the water is moving through the body because there are more neurons in the gut than there are in the spinal cord. So when that water flow is going and the waste is alleviating, people feel an immediate sense of relaxation.
Wow, that is cool. But like, how did you get started in doing that? Was it just the inspiration, like your personal experience that you had and you were like, oh my gosh, like I need to dive in deeper with that? Or like, how did it happen?
Yeah. I always tell people, if you could take a moment and reflect on the early years of your life, there's probably one experience, moment, or incident where something actually directed the future of your occupation. And people are like, what are you talking about? So for me, I actually had this flashback to what brought me to the love and the passion of alleviating waste from people's bodies and setting them free, because health is freedom, right? It's like lovely to sleep better. It's lovely to breathe better. It's lovely to not be so gassy and bloated, and lovely to have radiant skin. But the truth is, health is freedom. When I think back to being a young girl and being in our house in Congers, New York, and climbing up in my dad's cute little workshop on one of his high chairs, his, you know, stools that he had there, and reaching up for the Elmer's glue bottle. I loved to grab his needle nose pliers and rip out the glue in the orange nozzle. I action out of this. And it's like, you know, people like to pull lint out of the dryer filter. It's the same thing. Like, I just love that stuff. I love pulling hair out of the drain. It's like, what? So when I had my first colonic, I was 23 years old. I was working in advertising. My then boss went and had a treatment. He was raving about this stuff. And I finally caved, and I went and had this treatment. And I will just say the lights went on. There was so much information shared with me from my mentor, eventually my business partner from years ago, Gil Jacobs, that was all of the missing stuff that I wanted to know that I was never getting from anyone else, right? It's not about how much protein we eat. It's not about taking all these vitamins. It's not about, you know, what you need to like fix into your diet because you're not eating meat. It's none of that. It's about what we're not getting out of the body that's causing the damage. It's not just what we're putting in. So I had this first treatment. My lights went like super bright. He had all of this incredible information to share. Plus, the guy's skin was beyond. He was 34 at the time. And I thought, look, if this guy's doing all the stuff he's telling me and he's got this skin, I'm going to do whatever he says. Because I've never seen skin on a human, let alone a guy like this in my life. Wow. And I was having a lot of problems with mine. It was patchy, it was discolored, I was breaking out, it was puffy, all this weird stuff. I had a lot of hives. And so after that first treatment, I just started listening to everything he said. I went home, I bought a juicer. I just started changing my diet, and I got all these major shifts. I started losing weight. I started being less hungry all the time. I started craving healthier foods. I was energetic. I was walking down the street feeling a love vibration like in my heart. I wanted to hug strangers. I was like, what's going on? I know it sounds strange, but that was what was happening. And I just thought, if I had this information to heal my body when I was 16 and had so much chronic illness, wow, I could have saved so much time and energy and been in such a better space of service to other people. I just had to change my career to do the work. So that's what I did. I left my advertising career and I learned how to do the treatments, and he opened up a new space and invited me to come in as a therapist, and we were off and running. Wow.
And that's like over 20 years ago?
Yeah, I was 23 when I met him, 29 when we started. I joined him in a wellness studio that he opened. So that's 20 and 40, that's 20 years. That's right there is 20 years, right? Because I'm 49 this year. So
yeah, so you have a lot of experience in that field.
I started to work before then, like 3 years before then, more on my own with like just myself and some family members and friends who wanted to get treatment for me in my apartment. But yeah, so 23 years altogether.
So why is the colon health so important?
Colon is the captain of the ship. It's everything. What we know now about the gut is stuff I've known for years, but didn't have all the science. We now have at our fingertips. We have, you know, the microbiome is this incredible orchestration of bacteria, yeast, and fungi. We've got more bacteria in our gut than we do in the swampiest swamp. Find the most disgusting swamp on the planet, whether it's from an old Tarzan movie or whatnot. We have more bacteria in our bodies than in a swamp. And this incredible microbiome that we have is orchestrating all of our body's functions. And I mentioned earlier that we have more neurons going on in our gut than we do in our spinal cord and our peripheral nervous system. So wow, should we focus there? Yeah. And you know, 95% of our serotonin is produced in our gut. Now, if people are watching this and they're not sure what serotonin does, most people think it's produced in the brain, first of all. Not the case. But serotonin is managing your mood and your mindset Most of my clients are suffering from depression, chronic mental illness, anxiety. My father suffered from depression. If I knew this when I was younger, wow. Serotonin is managing not only your mood and your mindset, but your sleep, your hunger, your cravings for food, your hormones, your body's temperature, so much, your cardiovascular system, so much is being managed by your gut that if we're not focusing our energy and our consumption and directing what we're eating consciously, we are really missing out on a huge opportunity to reclaim our health and have astounding vitality for years beyond what we think is the expected norm.
Wow.
So the gut's the powerhouse.
Yeah, I love that you really do focus like that. You really shift more the focus as well of what's like getting out of our body than just what we put into our body. And it's like always more this like more holistic view of getting also everything out that needs to get out. And like how does it actually happen that things get stuck in the colon that's like not moving out as like think it would, right?
Yeah, that's a very common question, and thank you for asking that, because most people just think stuff is passing through. I was someone who actually didn't have constipation, typical constipation issues as a kid. Thank God I inherited my dad's bowel. My mom had suffered for years with constipation. She's so much better now. She's lost a lot of weight. She's no longer dealing with that. Like, she was obese actually for most of her life. So I inherited my dad's bowel, thank God. When I had my first colonic, I was actually having 3 to 4 movements a day. Now, what most people don't know is that a healthy bowel should be moving 3 to 5 times a day. If you're not having at least 3 movements a day, you're actually constipated, right?
Wow.
So the colon, the reason things get stuck and jammed there is because it's some science, right? Kind of go back to chemistry. Our bodies as a vessel are energy. We are an energy source, and we actually have an ionic charge. Our bodies have an ionic charge, which is negative. It's a negative ionic charge. Doesn't mean we're bad. It's not that kind of negative. Positive and negative forces, like with batteries, right? With magnets. So let's use the magnetic concept. With 2 magnets, we know opposites attract, the Paula Abdul song. Same charges repel. You go to put the magnets together, it's like you can't, right? We eat foods. The foods we should be eating, the majority of, should have a negative ionic charge, the same charge. That means they go in the body and they leave easily. They're not going to stick.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's enlightening. I never thought about it that way.
The first colonic I had, I got dispelled with this incredible, simple, basic concept. The foods that we eat that get stuck and jammed in the colon are the manufactured, processed, man-made ones, and the ones that tend to come from animal sources. So if we're talking about improving our health and empowering the spirit and creating consciousness, not only is this choice that I made for myself to be vegan around my vitality, my health, and how I get to show up to serve others, but I'm really serious about the repercussions of, livestock and farming on our environment. Billions and billions of gallons of water are used to raise livestock for human consumption that is literally killing us, and we're not the better, right? So just going back to your original question, because I can go off on a tangent. So the foods that have the negative ionic charge just so happen to be the raw fruits and vegetables, raw nuts and seeds, fresh pressed juices. Every day we got to drink those. Water, sunlight, good friends and good family members and good neighbors. And animals, right? So we surround ourselves with the negative ionic charges, and we become this open vessel because there's less accumulation, less obstruction in our bodies. And then the stuff that we used to eat, I ate it too. Look, I loved devil dogs as a kid. I loved Chips Ahoy cookies. I loved pork chops and applesauce and prime rib medium rare. I get it, guys. Salt and vinegar potato chips. Are you kidding me? When those were created, I thought someone created those just for me. But the truth is, I also loved vegetables as a kid, watching a Yankee game, eating like a head of lettuce. But if you're, eating tiramisu and croissants and, all of these fried foods, they do leave a lot of residue behind. That is the reason why when you eat them, initially on your palate, you're like, woohoo! There's a trigger, even mentally in the brain. But then when they get down below, you're like, ugh, Ricky, not good. Because now they're stuck and they're jammed and they're robbing your body of oxygen. Guys, look, oxygen, last time I checked, it's the most important thing for us as humans. Without it, we turn a pretty shade of blue, but not a pretty shade of feeling. We've got to keep oxygen flowing in the body. Fruits and vegetables, especially juices in the raw state, really elevate the hemoglobin in the blood, and that rushes oxygen to the cells. So we've got to continue throwing in the negatively charged ionic foods so that our bodies are always elevating.
So, but whenever you talk about juices, you probably especially talk about green juices, right?
Yeah, and look, someone's just starting out with juice. I'm working with private clients now. I'm like, hey, carrot juice is totally fine. I started out with carrot juice. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that, to give it a try, because whenever you feel the difference, or you don't know that there actually is a difference in being until you feel the difference. And what are your experiences with the clients that you have? What happens whenever they have a colonic? What is the feedback? What is the change that they are experiencing through that?
I love this question, because in the first 10 to 20 minutes of a session that's normally around 45 minutes or 60 minutes, so exciting for me to see what actually happens with each person, and it's unique. Some people are like, wow, I have so much clarity of mind right now, or I feel so relaxed. What's going on? Right? We're literally running that water through the nervous system, right? We talked about the amount of neurons in the gut lining the gut. When you alleviate poisons, obstruction, gas, are you kidding me? Gas makes people so moody. It knocks out your lower back. It makes you snap at people. It makes you weird with your kids. It's like, hey, my kid didn't do anything. Why am I yelling at my kids? I have gas. It's like, it creates brain fog. So when that alleviation happens, and it's pretty fast, the body supports that, right? So when the gut is emptying, all of a sudden the gut's emptying, the rest of the body is getting cues. There's more room in the wastebasket. Your colon is a wastebasket. So as we're moving out these pockets of gas and waste, it's like taking out the garbage, the rest of the body is getting more oxygen, because flow is happening. Because now those poisons that are riddled throughout the entire body, it's not just what's in the gut, are pouring back down into the gut for elimination. All the organs of elimination are working for you. And so it's brain fog lifts, clarity of mind, happy factor, feeling good. Wow, Joyce, I just feel so good right now. What's going on? There's a pleasantness that comes over, an ease. So it's just simplicity. It's like the treatment ends and people are like, oh, I'm going to go do a jog. I'm going to go take a yoga class. We're energized, right? It's relaxation and grounding, but it's also energy flow and bliss. People after the treatments are like, is this weird? I kind of want to hug you.
So it's heart opening as well.
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, who's going to feel like they want to love on anyone if you're gassy and bloated and feel weighted down? Metaphorically or physically? I certainly don't.
How long does it last? Whenever you've done it colonic?
So you mean the euphoria?
Yes.
I am very rooted in diet and lifestyle.
Okay,
and
awesome.
that's what I serve my clients. A lot of people do this work and they just do the treatments and that's it. That's not how I work. So I make sure that when you leave, you have as much sustenance as possible, because I'm giving you a lot of influential tips. And I'm actually not performing treatments right now, unless I travel to New York. I live in Phoenix, Arizona now. I'm not performing the treatments right now, but I'm happy to talk about them because they are life. But when I travel to New York, I do. And so the longevity of the treatment will last as long as the diet is in place for a certain period of time, until the body is like, whoa, we just shed a lot more shit down below. And sometimes it's unmanageable, because sometimes the body is loosening up so much poison that it's not natural for it to like alleviate all of it on its own, just kind of like swabbing our ears or brushing our teeth. So for anyone watching this right now who's like, Joyce, this is not natural. Well, neither is brushing our teeth natural. Yes, it is natural. Of course, it's all natural. Look, birds in the environment stick twigs up their butt to alleviate the colon. And
Really?
it is, yeah. I mean, there's scriptures. The Essene Gospel of Peace. If anyone wants to Google the Essene Gospel of Peace, read that. You will be enlightened about spirituality and the bowel maintenance connection. It's incredibly connected.
Wow.
So the treatment will last depending on the history of the person, how they're doing the diet after. But look, it's not a one and done. It's like essential oils. It's not like, oh, we just put this oil on, we're healed. It's lifestyle. It's like yoga. We don't do one yoga class. No, well, I'm Shavasana. I'm healed. I'm enlightened. It's lifestyles, repetition, right? Wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. So with the diet, every time we're drinking a juice, throwing in another big salad, we're opening up the body to release embedded poisons. And so it's like, I always say, the biggest, part of what people are missing out on with human health is the second step of a two-step process. It's, loosen poisons, release poisons. The diet loosens them. The colonic releases them more fully. Yes, a lot of people will start eating well and then they're like, wow, you should have seen what I had in the toilet today, Joyce. I wanted to take a picture, but And I'm like, yeah, it should look like that. A healthy bowel movement should be like 1 to 2 feet in length. It should be like, whoa, did that come out of me? So what was the question? How long will it last?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
It will last as long as the body allows, until the body now loosens up more poisonous matter that needs to get out. It could be days or weeks until the next treatment.
Yeah, but it's especially about creating these healthy habits, but you can use it as a reset, or whenever you go through a cleanse, to support your body to clean out the toxins and all of that faster. And I think it's just like an additional thing that you can do to incorporate a more holistic and healthier lifestyle for yourself.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, what I would say, that's interesting. The phone's actually on vibrate. So talk about Mercury in retrograde and equinoxes. That's interesting. But here's the thing, I want to use this metaphor. This will help a lot of people listening, because look, I didn't understand what colonics were either. So, when we do we do a load of laundry, there's sometimes a pre-wash if the stuff's really filthy. And then there's the wash cycle where the soap comes in and sloshes stuff around and it's getting all sudsy. That process is loosening the debris from the fibers of our clothes. So you can liken that to a juice going in the body. The juice is the soap. Then in that wash cycle, next comes the rinse cycle, right? Throwing in all this fresh water and moving the soapy, sudsy stuff and the grime that loosened from the clothing into the rinse water and moving it through out of the clothing. So most people just want to juice and just want to like shampoo their hair or shampoo their clothes, but not everybody wants to do the rinse cycle for some reason. We do it all the time. We brush our teeth, we rinse our mouth. We shampoo our hair, we rinse it off. We shampoo and suds our, soap our bodies, and we rinse it off. Same thing with even like yoga, right? We do all of that, vinyasa work, and then we lay in shavasana. It's like the rinsing, because we allow the body to sit still then and move it through. It's so beautiful. So same with the human body. We put all of this stuff in, and what most people don't realize is like the stuff we've eaten in the course of a lifetime is like, most people, unless you've grown up a raw food vegan, I certainly didn't, there is an accumulation and it doesn't leave so easily. And that's why it's hard to answer your question of how long does it last. Look, I deal with people who were heroin addicts at some point in their life, who were, binge eating, who were alcoholics. I mean, there's a lot going on. So it depends on the history of the individual and how fast the healing takes place, how long they've been eating better. I will say this. A lot of people who I work with in my private practice now with my health coaching, they come to me because they are eating well, but they don't understand why they're not feeling well. And that's because the detoxification step, which is the step I really focus on, is missing. And then the other types of people I work with are people who are like completely new to the whole thing. They've never even had a juice. I work with all types of people. Sometimes I work with people 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They were in it for, 8 months. They felt amazing. And then they fell off the wagon. They're like, I can't get back on. What's going on? Help, help, help. So it doesn't matter where you are in your process. I can support you.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So like, whenever you think about, like, you're getting rid of all that nasty stuff out of your colon, but whenever you do that colonic, doesn't it happen to be as well that you flush out or flood out the healthy microbiome as well at the same time? And if so, like, how do you replenish it then?
Oh, that's a great question. I love dispelling this myth. I love myth busting. It's so much fun. So here's what I like to use. You can tell I like to use a lot of metaphors. I'm a very visual learner.
Yeah.
So I learned that way from Gil Jacobs years ago. And so I continue to teach that way. So here we go. Do you work out? Do you work out?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you sweat when you work
Yes.
out? Yes. So do you ever think, oh my God, I'm sweating too much?
No.
Right? So with the colon hydrotherapy treatments, it's never like a worry of I'm flushing out all this healthy bacteria, because if that abundance of bacteria were actually present, you wouldn't be getting the colonic. You'd be living somewhere in Fiji on a mountain, God, for God's sakes. What we're moving out of the body is the fecal matter, the bowel, the obstruction. And I've been doing these treatments for 23 years. I've had, thousands of colonics myself. If getting colonics wiped out the healthy microbiome, I'd be dead by now. And my bowels still function really, really well. And I have 2 to 3 a day, and I eat 1 meal a day. So that goes to show you, we'll get into that in a moment, that, yeah, what you do after a colonic is important. We don't have a colonic and go out and eat a burger. We have a colonic and then we replenish electrolytes in the body with fresh coconut water, fresh pressed juice. We're always replenishing, even after a workout, right? We drink water to rehydrate. So no, there's no flushing out of all the healthy bacteria in a colonic. It doesn't work that way. The body is always regenerating, because in the absence of that obstruction, the microbiome is really happy and it's flowing because it gets rebirthed in the presence of the plants. The best way, by the way, for anyone listening, the best way to support a healthy microbiome is through the diversity of the plants you eat and focusing on tissue cleansing, which is what we're talking about now with the colonics.
Awesome.
Oh, real quick, let me just stick this in, this little stat. 60% of a bowel movement is metabolic waste, not even what you consume. So when people say, oh, I'm fasting, I shouldn't be eliminating, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the time when you should be having like a lot, because that's the whole point. You're not detoxing if there's nothing leaving your body. If you're drinking all these juices and there's nothing leaving, like that's one step of a 2-step process. So there you go.
And then as well, like whenever your colon is cleaner, you are able to absorb more nutrients probably from the food that you're taking in, right?
Absolutely. 1006%.
Yeah. And like one more thing about the colonic. So whenever you do them with people, like, can you tell the difference by just seeing the stool, what the people are eating? Is there like a big difference in that or not?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm doing treatments with people and they have one movement every 2 weeks.
Okay. Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Ouch.
Do you know there are people that go to their doctors and their doctors tell them that that's okay? Doctors have like under 4 hours of nutrition schooling. Yeah. Dr. B, the gut health MD, is one of my colleagues, and he talks about it. And he's like, this is not right. They're working on reestablishing what that looks like. But yes, if I'm doing a treatment with someone and there's like these rocks coming down the tube, or it feels like there's a bowling ball knocking on the speculum, it's so dry and dehydrated, it won't even fit through the tube. Sorry for the graphics, but you asked. If that's happening, I actually have to stop the water flow and remove the instrument, leave the room, and let them sit on the toilet to release, because it's just too impacted. If they're having like very little leaving the tube, sometimes that means that they're like so impacted that they haven't really worked the diet yet, right? And sometimes people have these monster treatments where it's just going on for an hour and a half, and you're like, how is this person even walking in here? They should have crawled in here crying. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the sessions. You can tell certain things. I don't really get into too much like diagnosis of what's leaving in the tube, but I can certainly tell what's going on by, palpating the midsection, talking with the individual, certainly knowing how frequently they go to the bathroom, what are the issues they're dealing with regarding their health, whether it's sleep or skin or, for pap smears, whatever it may be. Constipation is obvious, headaches, immune system, autoimmune is rampant now. So.
Yes. Yes. And so, one more question regarding that. What would you suggest, especially for supporting people's bowel, what should they eat to support their bowel movements as best as I can?
Absolutely. In my 6-month group coaching program, we go deeper into this, but I can certainly give a couple of tips. One of the best things that anyone can do, which is the first thing I did, which is why I always start with this, because if I did this in this work, why wouldn't I share it? Is to start doing vegetable juices on the daily. That was the very first thing I did when I left my first colonic in 1993. I went home, borrowed the keys to the car, went to Macy's, bought a cheap juicer for like $40. I mean, I'll invest more now, and I would recommend anyone else do too, but I didn't know then. And it changed the entire trajectory of my health. It allowed me to stop eating crap bagels with cream cheese in the morning, and it fostered this opening up and this clarity of my skin, and it allowed me to start really diving deep into detoxification, changed my food cravings. I wasn't as hungry. I stopped eating breakfast at some point and just skipped to lunch, and then eventually stopped eating lunch and just was having one meal a day, because my body got so self-sufficient because of the oxygen flow to my tissue. See, this is the missing link for people. Oxygen is the sustenance of life. So shouldn't we do whatever we can to improve oxygen to our cells and remove the obstruction that's prohibiting it? That's what juicing does. It opens up all of the channels for cellular support. It assists in apoptosis, which means that when the cells die, they need to leave the body. So apoptosis is the sloughing off of those dead cells. And then when that happens, when they're out of the way, new cells regenerate. People say all the time, wow, you're 40, whatever. And, it's not me patting myself on the back. It's me patting this philosophy on the back. I would not feel or look like this if I wasn't living this lifestyle. Trust me, I looked a lot different when I was younger. So what was the question?
Your tips.
Okay, so vegetable juice first. You got to start vegetable juicing. Look, if you can't commit to 7 days out of the week, that's not the point. The point is 3 days out of the week is more than 0, right? In my 6-month group coaching program right now, I have someone who's like, I can't get to the 7. I'm like, can you get to 4? That's more than half in a 7-day period. So we work in weeks and months, right? So if you took a week and you have 7 days, half of 7 is 3.5. So if you did 4 days, even if you did 3 days, that's more than 0. You're going to get great benefits. You know what's going to happen on the days you're juicing. You're going to be like, I didn't want my coffee after that juice. What's that about, Joyce? That happens a lot. People come in, they're like, I don't want my coffee. I can't believe it. I'm like, keep going. And then your cravings throughout the day start to temper. It's amazing. The juice is such a powerful foundation. It's like laying the cement without any cracks for a new house. That is so powerful. Okay, juicing's one. Big salads before cooked food is a huge, huge help to detoxification, helping the bowels move, creating radiant skin, getting cells to cooperate, giving you more energy. Powerhouse. Salads, raw food before cooked food, always, always, always. And then I'll share a third tip. And this one's really easy, but not so easy for people to wrap their head around. So I'll explain it. It's eat fruit alone or leave it alone. And don't eat fruit in the same day after you've eaten cooked food. What is she talking about right now? People are spinning their heads. They're like, oranges are healthy, Joyce. I eat oranges after my lunch. What are you talking about? Fruit sugar on top of cooked fare will blow up the gas pressure in your body, like lighting a match and throwing it on a gas tank. So in the morning is the optimum time if you're eating cooked fare at lunch or dinner. If you're someone who's rocking it already and you juice in the morning and you don't eat, you can have a fruit lunch. it's not so much about when you eat the fruit, but it's around the foods you're eating it. That's really something to pay attention to. A lot of people are suffering with chronic gas and headaches and, bloating and this puffiness on the face and the neck and all this, weird stuff going on in their bodies where they have pains and brain fog, or more seriously, they're dealing with repercussions of doing that for a lifetime that's led them to autoimmune diseases and food addiction and things like that. So sorry, I'm talking so much. So really I'm gonna wrap this up.
Interesting. Keep going.
Just change, that fruit, and you start juicing, like that is going to alleviate so much of your discomfort. You are going to take a flight from Germany if you live there. Hug me. Wherever you may be. I know this is a summit reaching all around the globe, and I'll hug you back.
Awesome. Wow. So but you're not only doing colonics, you also work with essential oils. And I just wanted to, dive in that really quickly because we are already close to time. And and I think why are they so important, and why would it be even a good idea to incorporate them internally? And if so, how do you know if you can incorporate them?
Holding my clary sage. Clary sage is such a beautiful oil, right? It's the oil of light. We talk all about energy and healing the body, and we talk about empowerment and spirit, thriving with the planet. It's like, I'll just throw a little bit of this around and breathe in those aromatic compounds. The reason essential oils have become such a crucial part of my health coaching program, so even though I'm not doing colonics now, it's all about dietary and lifestyle changes that I support people with. And then the oils are a huge tool because plant medicine is in perfect alignment with our carbon-based bodies, carbon-based essential oils. And we talked about negative ionic charge. This is the same concept. And our sense of smell, I don't know if you know this, Karina, our sense of smell is 10,000 times stronger than any of our other senses. So our brain, our limbic system in our brain is exposed to the outside environment, which means if we smell something, we can affect our mood and our cardiovascular and our respiratory system just by inhaling these incredibly powerful healing aromatic compounds. The aromatic compounds go through the sinus cavity, lifted through the nasal passage into the brain. The limbic system is that emotional center. That's why when we smell things sometimes, we're like, oh, that reminds me of grandma baking cookies when I was 6. We get triggered. Our memory and our smell and emotions are all connected in that part of the brain. It's so powerful. Wow. So I have a lot of people that I work with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorders. We get to work with the oils, and you can literally trigger a neural response in the brain in 22 seconds. So not only for us as adults, we go out in the world now, but if people are watching this, and they have children being bullied or, going on the playground or going in for an exam they're nervous about, or taking a driver's test, or their little ones integrating to school for the first time. There's so many powerful ways. We work with these oils now with these rollers. We can just give a little kid a roller, take to school and be like, and ease and calm. So I insist on essential oils because most of what people are working with on the daily is synthetic and perfumed, and it's poisonous, and it's causing all these problems for immune system, respiratory, brain function. Got to change that.
Wow. And so can you use them internally as well?
So
with that, is that a good idea to do that?
Okay, please, if you're watching this, do not just run into some mom and pop health food store and grab an essential oil off the shelf and start taking it internally, because if you read the side of that bottle, it will likely say either for topical use only or for aromatic use only. And I work with a very unique grade known as medical grade, certified pure therapeutic grade, way beyond organic, tested 23 different times, third-party tested again, and tested 3 times during a bottling phase. Very, very stringent.
doTERRA, right?
doTERRA, yeah, gift of the earth. That's what that means. Yes. And these are now considered medical grade. So a lot of these oils are ingestible because they're pure. And like the lemon oil is one that you can, even clary sage you can take internally. When you see supplement facts on the side of their bottles, that means it's safe to take internally. So in my water that I'm drinking here, I've got a little peppermint. You could throw in the lemon. It's cold pressed from the rind. It won't harm the enamel on your teeth. And so taking the oils internally is a very powerful way to work with different body systems.
Oh, and I can tell that, or say that the peppermint is mind blowing, because I was driving down the road with a friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to try this?" And she had the peppermint of doTERRA actually in her car, and I took a drop, and I was, oh my goodness, you never will need gum or any other shit peppermint stuff again. Really, seriously. It's so refreshing. And then, I don't know, I just like open up. It was such a graceful experience. It was just incredible, really incredible. And you really felt fresh afterwards in the mouth.
That kissable breath.
Yes.
I keep peppermint with me all the time in my purse. As a matter of fact, funny you should mention this cute little spray bottle, because, you know, Prince Charming might show up at any time. Kissable breath, you never know.
Yeah. Yes, it's natural. Like, there's no additives. There's like, it's pure. So you can really take it with, you know, no worries, right? Or can you overdose on them?
Yeah, so you can totally take these oils internally, and I teach a webinar and I show people how to use them safely and comfortably and effectively in their own homes. And yeah, I really, I'm so proud to be in alignment with doTERRA, because their mission for global healing, talking about this summit and what your intentions are about, you know, creating a thriving planet, their intentions and their farming model is literally set to serve and is healing on a global level. So I'm very, very proud of that.
Awesome. So before I go into the last question, I would like to know how people, or maybe people out there would want to know how they can, you know, contact you or work with you. Where do they find you? Are you local? Where are you?
Find me near the squatty potties. No, I need to get another one. I have a 2-bedroom apartment now. It's like, oh, the little things, right? Yeah, squatty potty. By the way, if people are watching this and they don't have a squatty potty, that will help alleviate constipation. So there's another tip. I'm on social media. So Instagram, Joyce Rockwood. If you just type in my name under people, you'll find me, Joyce Rockwood, or C.C.H is certified colon hydrotherapist. Facebook, same thing, just Joyce Rockwood, C.C.H. What else? Twitter. Yeah, Joyce Rockwood, you can find me there. And my website, which is a very simple splash page right now, is joycerockwood.com. So it's kind of easy to remember.
Okay, awesome. So I want to know, like, as you are working in the field of positive change and impact, I would like to know, what message of hope do you have for us or those who are listening? Because I think it's quite important to, you know, plant some positive seeds for us to believe that there is change, positive change happening in the world, and yeah, not only like spread negativity in the news or anywhere else, that there are actually people out there who are doing and making a difference.
You know, years ago, I got into Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's a quote, sometimes you hear a quote, it stays with you forever. He had a quote, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, be still his heart. He said, "So shall you think, so shall you be." And I truly believe that when you know and you think that you can heal your body and you take the proper steps to do that, you become more empowered, you become free. And the reason I'm so fixated on poop, the reason I'm so fixated on the bowel, is because I know it's at the root of most people's issue. And when that is dealt with, we become free in our bodies. And when we become free in our bodies, we are set to be in a space of service. And I know that everyone watching this interview is designed to deliver a message in their lifetime, and that there is someone somewhere who is looking for exactly what you have to offer. You, Karina, you watching, and that mission that you have, that intention, that those gifts that you have that are inside of you are completely set free when you have your health. There is no greater thing in the world. Look, I just moved into this apartment. I pulled out my back. I could barely put on my underwear. I'm not even kidding. So if you are suffering with chronic pain, you know, it puts you in a space where you can't take care of other people. If you're a parent, if you have fur babies running around, whatever it is, but some of you have bigger missions of serving thousands of people. So your health is the key to get there. So my message of hope for you is you have the power to heal your bodies. It's
Wow.
true.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joyce, for being here with us today and being of service. And thank you all for watching and joining us. And please, please, please stay tuned for more incredible content on how to eat to improve your health, empower your spirit, and thrive with the planet. See you. Bye.